Hello guys, welcome back in Goku Manhwa channel. Let's continue. Taiha and Hisu were sharing a moment that felt intensely personal, as if the rest of the world had faded away and only the space between them remained. They stayed close, their bodies near, their breathing slowly falling into the same rhythm. Neither of them rushed. The closeness itself was the point, the quiet tension, the awareness of each other in every small movement. Taiha leaned over her, steady and controlled, and she did not resist the nearness. Instead, she allowed it, trusting him, her posture relaxed and yielding, her attention fixed only on him. He guided her hands gently and kept them secure, not to hurt her but to keep her attention centered on him. The contact made her react softly, a quiet sound escaping before she could stop it. He moved closer, until the distance between their faces was almost gone. The air felt warm and shared. Her voice dropped to a whisper and she told him she would follow his lead, that she was not afraid. The words came out breathy and sincere, filled with emotion rather than urgency. His hand rose and rested lightly against her cheek and near her lips, not forcing, just present, reminding her of his closeness. His weight hovered over her in a protective, enclosing way, showing confidence and control without aggression. It created a feeling of being surrounded, of being chosen and focused on. Their reactions mirrored each other, small sounds, unsteady breaths, both aware of how deeply they were caught in the moment. He encouraged her to keep her eyes on him, wanting connection, wanting the honesty that comes from being fully seen. He wanted the moment to be shared through eye contact, through expression, through feeling instead of haste. She tried to keep her gaze steady on him, but his closeness made everything blur at the edges. All she could truly see and feel was him, right there, holding her attention completely. Hisu's thoughts were loud inside her mind even though she stayed outwardly still. Every feeling felt amplified, as if her heart was too full to contain what was happening between them. The air between her and Taiha felt heavy with unspoken emotion, and even the smallest movements seemed to matter. When he held her arms and drew them gently back, it did not feel like restraint but like being steadied, like he was trying to keep her from drifting too far into the storm of her own thoughts. The closeness made her breathing uneven, rising and falling in soft, nervous waves. When he leaned near her ear and spoke her name softly, the warmth in his voice traveled through her more strongly than the touch itself, tightening her chest with a fragile kind of hope. She searched his face for meaning, for reassurance, for some clear sign of what he was feeling. She asked if he was satisfied, not out of pride or challenge, but from a vulnerable place deep inside, wanting to know if she was enough, if she was truly reaching him. The question carried her fear of being unseen. His hands returned to her waist in a grounding way, reminding her that she was right there with him, that the moment was real. He loosened his shirt as if the emotion between them had made the air thinner, harder to breathe. Then he pulled her closer against his chest and held her there, firm and certain, letting her feel his presence without distance. He told her to stop overthinking and remain here with him like this, and the steadiness in his tone wrapped around her like a protective layer. The intensity between them deepened, not in a rushed way, but like a tide slowly rising. It was emotional, overwhelming, and impossible to ignore. Her heart reacted faster than her thoughts could organize themselves. She felt overcome, as if too many emotions were trying to exist inside her at once. Affection, fear, longing, relief, and uncertainty tangled together until she could not separate one from another. She admitted, even if only in a whisper of breath, that her heart felt like it was crying, not from hurt alone but from the pressure of feeling so much at once. Tears threatened without fully falling, caught in the space between restraint and surrender. In that closeness, she understood something simple and honest. What she wanted most was not control or intensity but to hold him and be held without doubt. She wanted the memories of fear and confinement in her heart to fade away until only his presence remained clear and steady in her mind. She wanted emotional safety more than anything else. Yet even with her heart so full of him, anxiety still lingered like a quiet echo. She could not silence it completely. That lingering fear made her hold onto the moment tighter in her mind. Inside her thoughts she repeated his name, Taiha, again and again, using it like an anchor against drifting panic. She wanted to stay close, closer than before, close enough that distance, misunderstanding, and silence could not return. She wanted this connection to remain, unbroken and warm, just like the way it once felt when simply being near him made the rest of the world fall away. She asks him to hold her, her voice unsteady and filled with need. The request is simple, but the emotion behind it is heavy. When his arms come around her, She immediately notices how familiar it feels. The way he holds her has not changed, and that is what confuses her the most. The warmth, the firmness, the sense of being surrounded. It is exactly the same as before, so why does his heart feel farther away now? The contradiction makes her chest ache. Taiha takes both her hands and lifts them gently above her head, guiding them there with quiet control. The gesture shows his dominance, but also his focus on her. She closes her eyes as emotion swells through her, a soft sound leaving her as she tries to steady her breathing. Inside her thoughts, questions begin circling again and again. Why does he keep pushing her away emotionally? Why does he feel distant when he is standing so close? He was never like this before. Her mind keeps repeating his name, Taiha, 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 as if thinking of him hard enough will bring back the tenderness she misses. Her thoughts spiral. She wonders why he feels cold, why her heart keeps getting hurt when she only wants his love. She fears that he sees only her presence, not her feelings. The worry grows louder until it can no longer stay inside. She blurts out that she does not want this, that she already said no, that she needs him to listen. The words finally break free from her chest, sharp and trembling. The air between them shifts the moment he hears her. She struggles to finish what she wants to say, emotion choking her voice. Before she can complete the sentence, Taiha's expression changes. Concern replaces intensity. He draws her closer, no longer distant, no longer forceful. He helps her sit upright and wraps his arms around her in a full, secure embrace. The hold is different now, protective, steady, real. Heat rises to her face as she melts into the hug. She notices the warmth of him, how unchanged it feels, how safe that familiar chest still is. The comfort breaks her remaining restraint and tears begin to fall without stopping. She murmurs that his arms are still as warm as they used to be, that being held like this feels wonderful and painful at the same time. While holding him, she lowers her gaze toward her own hand, overwhelmed by how much feeling can exist inside one embrace. Hisu suddenly felt a strange confusion rise inside her. The emotional storm had not yet settled when her attention dropped to her own hand. It looked red, smeared, unmistakable. For a second her mind refused to understand what she was seeing. Then the realization struck her all at once. This was not nothing. This was not harmless. He had told her he was fine, that it was not his blood, that he was not hurt. But the evidence was right in front of her eyes, impossible to deny. Her voice rose without planning to. The fear broke through her restraint and she began to shout at him, her words shaking. She told Taiha that he was injured, that he had lied, that he tried to hide the pain. The thought that he might have been hurt because of her made the guilt settle heavily in her chest. The more she looked at him, the more clearly she could see the strain he had tried to conceal. Her eyes burned as tears gathered again. Instead of stepping away, Taiha drew her closer. His expression softened at the sight of her tears. He said that now she was finally crying because of him, and there was something bittersweet in the way he recognized it. His hand came up and rested gently on her head, steady and warm, a calming gesture. Then his hands moved to her face, careful and supportive, and their eyes finally met without avoidance. The intensity in that eye contact said more than words could. He understood her fear. She understood his sacrifice. Hisu admitted that she believed everything would turn out fine, that she kept telling herself it would not hurt this much, yet it did. The pain in her voice was emotional, not physical, the pain of worry, of attachment, of caring too deeply. After a while, the surge of emotion settled into a quieter space. They sat side by side, close but not speaking. The silence between them felt thick and awkward rather than peaceful. She focused on treating his injury, carefully applying medicine and wrapping the bandage with slow, attentive movements. Her fingers were gentle, but her thoughts were restless. He would not look at her. Not even once. It felt as if he was deliberately avoiding her gaze. The distance in that small behavior hurt more than she expected. It made her wonder if he was angry, or disappointed, or simply tired of her presence. Questions crowded her mind. She finally gathered the courage to speak and said his name softly, telling him she wanted to ask something important. She wondered aloud about his heart, whether it was still the same as it used to be back then, or whether it had changed without her noticing. The question felt too heavy to finish, and her voice faded before the last words could come out. While folding the bandage neatly, she remembered a moment from earlier, Taiha speaking gently to another girl, saying something that sounded deeply personal. The memory returned with sharp clarity. A new doubt formed. She wondered if he had smiled at that girl the same way he once smiled at her. The thought tightened her chest again. Before she could sink deeper into that spiral, Taiha suddenly spoke and asked why she was not asking him directly. The question startled her and she looked up, confused. He reached for her hands and held them firmly, making sure he had her full attention. He asked whether she was not curious about what kind of relationship he actually